Contractors' Secret Weapon weekly podcast with your hosts, Dave Negri. This program is dedicated to helping contractors, remodelers, painters, roofers, roof cleaners, and business owners in the construction industry gain an unfair advantage over the competition. This program supplies you with information that the competition doesn't even know exists. This session brought to you by ContractorsSecretWeapon.com.
Hey, this is Dave Negri with Contractors' Secret Weapon podcast, and today I just want to thank you for stopping by and listening. I had a fun interview with Dickinson, and today I did not edit anything, so that's why we're doing a double introduction. So sit back, enjoy. We had a lot of fun. We laughed a lot, and hopefully you'll learn a lot this week. So tell me, how did you get into the actually consulting business? Is basically what you do, but it looks like you do a little bit differently than most. You really take them through a process.
How did I get into it? How long a story would you like?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll ask again in the interview, and you can shorten it up a bit.
Well, I spent, I'll try and give you the short version, but I spent a bunch of years in corporate, over 15. I spent a couple of years with a consulting outfit that the banks brought in to companies on the skid. So it was a great experience from the standpoint of operations.
Sure.
And the companies were always one foot on a banana peel, so everyone was pissed off. And so that wasn't pleasant. And basically we were in there to find the cash and take it. And I didn't ethically like that.
You're right.
And then I sort of took a time out and a left turn and went back to school for pottery, which I had done as an undergraduate. And then I spent 2 years in school full time, and then with a fellow potter I opened a studio. And in the process of opening the studio, I went back and did a whole business plan and got the funding and realized how much I loved figuring businesses out and making them work. And that business was profitable in 18 months and it was debt-free in 5 years.
Yeah.
And that was all well and good, and I stuck with it for, a good 6 years. I wasn't making the studio itself was making some money. As an artist, I was, starving.
Starving artist, yeah.
Yeah. And so, it came time to say, okay, what's next? And that's when I said, well, I'm not going back to corporate.
Oh, no.
Right. So what do I love to do? And I really, really enjoy figuring out different businesses and helping them improve themselves.
Isn't it? It's neat, though, where you can just sit back and listen, and you'll go, well, have you thought about this? Or have you thought about this?
Exactly.
And it's like my wife goes, you need, and actually I'm putting together a whole program for the fun of it. I'm going to do business therapy.
that is what half of consulting is.
Oh, yeah, I know. I know. Matter of fact, I had a guy the other day locally. He calls me and he goes, can you help me with a problem? I said, I can do anything you want. I says, so I went and helped him with his problem. And he says, well, how much do you want me to pay you? I says, well, listen, just write me a check. You're a friend, and I said, just mark it business therapy, So he did. It was kind of...
Yeah, it's...
Because, it was just like, all right, why do you do it this way? I'm just curious. It's your business. You can do it any way you want. Oh, and you paid him before he was finished. And he goes, well, yeah. And I go, well, yeah, it's not the right answer.
Right. Yeah, and it's I don't know. My whole mission is really to help people think, to learn how to think.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's... it makes sense.
Think of, ultimately, that's sort of what it is, and it's masquerading, it's learning some skills and applying them.
Right, and I'll go back. We'll go back into this too later on. But I see a lot of and I've seen it happen with me. That's why I have coach and I have mentors, because they see things that I can't see.
Exactly.
And
it's a different perspective.
Yeah, and then you get so caught up in the weeds.
Exactly.
That you go, I never saw that. Or, you think about something and you go, that's a dumb thought. But it's really not, because, once you have the opportunity sometimes to just have somebody help you walk it through, then it could be a game changer.
Right. Well, and either way, it can either be, oh man, that's really a great idea, or someone can help you see, no, that really is a stupid idea.
Yeah. Save your money.
Right. Cut bait now.
Right. Well, and that's a funny thing too. It's like I've seen guys that spend thousands of dollars to have it not work, and their ego's going, I'm going to make this work until I run out of money, but it's never going to work. It's just never going to work.
Right. And there are those who say, if I just bring in more revenue, well, you know what? If you're not making money on the revenue you're bringing in, just bringing in more isn't the answer.
No, that's like, that's like the two guys that are selling watermelons on the side of the road, and they go, we didn't make any money. And he goes, that's all right. Next week we'll get a bigger truck.
Right. It's like, okay. That's Dumb and Dumber in spades.
Yeah. I'm gonna put this in. I'm not gonna cut it out. No, that'll be fun. I'll rearrange stuff. Usually these are the best parts of the interviews. is the stuff that goes on before we can enter. This is gets to be the treat. Right. So let me introduce you, and I'll and we'll go from there. And I may cut the other eye, may not. Who knows? But we'll probably go through a lot of it, anyways.
Okay.
Okay. Let's start at 12:10. Okay. Hey, welcome to Contractors Secret Weapon Podcast today. Hey, I'm thinking it's the storm on the other side, and I just don't know how long it's going to last today, but who knows? Hey, I just want to welcome today our guest, Ann Dickinson, and she's known by many as the cash flow and profit optimizer. Ann empowers action-taking leaders of service businesses with the ability to make smarter, quicker, and sometimes tough decisions that result in more money, more time, and more freedom. My thought process went, help people be smarter. I don't know. Sometimes we can do that.
I try.
Yeah, everything she does, Ann isn't afraid to get her hands dirty as she works side by side with businesses and business leaders to identify and eliminate the money leaks and ignite profit and create a strong, healthy business. She's the creator of the Stop the Profit Leaks formula, the ebook, Turn Up Your Cash Flow, stopping your profit leaks. And, of course, every business, I don't care who you are, has leaks, profit leaks. And if what you do about them decides if your business will thrive or take a dive. And that's so true. You're either growing or dying. So if you think your profits should be bigger, but you're not sure where the money's going, it can help. She can help. She works with business owners to identify where the profits are falling through the cracks and stops those leaks for good, sort of like super glue. So she helps make you smarter, quicker financial decisions, increase your revenue, and finally feel like you run your business and your business is not running you. And thanks so much for being with us today. We're just going to have fun.
Thanks for having me. I didn't think it was that funny, but okay.
Oh, God.
Okay, fire away.
I'm not cutting any of this out. So the gist of the whole thing is growing. You're either business or growing it or dying, and a lot of people just don't. I mean, we just talked about it a few minutes ago. If you want to do more business, it's not just doing more business; it's making more profit, isn't it?
It is. It's bringing in more business smartly. right? And if it's not coming in profitably, then it's not smartly.
Right.
So just growing your revenue is no answer.
Right. And I think before we started, and if I keep
right,
we talked about the two guys on the side of the roads.
Right,
you know,
the watermelon guys.
The watermelon guys. And they get done at the end of the day, and they go, man, we didn't make any money. And the guy goes, oh, I guess we'll just have to get a bigger truck next week.
Right, which frankly means they'll probably lose more money because the bigger truck will cost more.
Yeah, and they bought more watermelons.
Right. So that's a good way to go in the ditch.
Yeah. So your whole goal is to help people to sell watermelons at a profit.
Exactly. Or find a different business. But yes, sell them at a profit.
Right.
Right. So I'm helping people either, if I can go into say how I define profit leaks, it's either
absolutely.
It's essentially a profit leak is anything happening in your business that's causing the bottom line profit to be less than it could be. So therefore, it can be on the expense side, too much cost going out, whether it's in the cost of the product or service or in overhead, or it can be on the revenue side, money that's not coming in that could be, and that could be in the form of products or services that could be offered that aren't being offered, and or price increases. So it's a holistic look at the business, right, not just...
well, price increase is a dirty word for most people, isn't it?
It depends on how you're doing the selling.
Yeah. Right? No, every time I talk to somebody, so you want to make more money? And they go, absolutely. And I go, well, raise your prices. And they go, oh, I can't do that.
Right. Well, that's not right. There are only three ways to make more money, to bring in more revenue, right? Increase your prices, increase your volume, increase the number of times that you sell things.
Right. And
I forgot the third one.
No, but you went to raise your prices, more transactions.
Right, and more... what was the third? That was two.
That was two. There was another one in there that you said. It went by me too.
I got them all three then.
Okay. Go rewind it and go back, guys. Yes, and a lot of people think that it's just getting more business, and it baffles me sometimes to hear some of the things that people say. Like I have a good thing he doesn't listen to this podcast. I have a family member who has a plumbing business, and he goes, I need more business. I need more customers. I said, dude, how many customers you got in your database? He goes, oh, about 2,500. And I go, what? I said, when's the last time you sold to them? He goes, what do you mean? I go, yeah, that's it exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, if you think you're a one-off business, figure out a way to sell to your customers again.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because, I mean, I think, my customers, they like me, they know me, they trust me, and if I come out with something new, that they're going to say, I've been thinking about that. Maybe we'll have Dave come and do it, or Bob, or John, or whoever you are.
Right.
Because they like doing business with you. If they haven't forgotten about you, let's put it that way.
Right.
That's a whole other story.
So true. That is a whole other story. Which is a marketing problem.
Well, yeah, it's just keeping in touch. But yeah, right. One thing leads to another,
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it's getting it balanced. So. And we're talking about plugging the leaks that are causing your business. For your average service business that you're dealing with, what are a couple of the main things that you see, other than price, to mean too low, which is, I think, and we can put that probably, in most cases, the number one thing, because they're afraid of raising their prices. What are some of the other things that you see that are going on in the mix that are just creating unevenness in their business?
Well, there's actually a bunch of things, and some of them are not intuitively obvious. But the biggest one that I find is actually that they're not actually tracking what's going on. Right? They're working by the seat of their pants and not keeping their numbers current and accurate. So they don't really know what's going on. And if you don't know what's going on, you can't make a course correction.
Right. So that's like,
because you don't even know what course you're on.
No, because you're just basically, I always call it slinging mud and hoping something sticks.
Right. So that's a big one. Running your business from the online bank balance, which gets back to not knowing what's going on and thinking that that's actually real-time accurate, which it isn't. And then...
That just hit me.
It's not.
No, it's not. I'm thinking that's kind of crazy. It's just... Yeah.
And yet, very, very, very common. But really not knowing your cost structure, right? Do you know what the stuff costs that you're doing? I had a contractor that I worked with for a long time, and when we started working together, he would do an estimate and say it was, picking numbers out of the air, but say it was a $500 job, and he'd figure out, okay, great, I know what all my costs are, and cool, I'm going to make $75. But that was his gross margin. Mm-hmm. So he never factored in any overhead.
Ouch.
Or fixed expenses.
Ouch.
And so the truth is, he wasn't making any money.
No, it was costing him money to do business with his customers.
Right. So, once he learned what was going on, he was able to shift that and a whole bunch of other things, both in certain terms of what his pricing was and how he delivered, right? Another huge cost leak for this guy was he was doing everything himself.
Yep.
He was doing all the invoicing. He was doing all the collections. He was doing the entire back end of his business. Well, his skill set was in sales and marketing.
Right.
So we brought in a bookkeeper, and that freed up 2 days a week for him to go out and get more sales.
Oh, my.
Right? So his business more than doubled, and his profits, grew very, very nicely, and he went from having no credit to having, a $60,000 line of credit.
Awesome.
All these sorts of things, and so it was, he kind of had profit leaks everywhere, but we were able to really find most of them, even around processes and procedures, right? If you don't have good process and procedure in place that's efficient and effective, you're leaking money because time is money.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So it's essentially looking everywhere. For him, he was a very, very seasonal business. So he had 2 really strong seasons of cash, and then he had 2 seasons where he was kind of cashless.
Nice.
And
no, that's not nice.
But, right, not nice. But one of the seasons was he happened to plow snow up in the north, right? Yeah. Well, that was the strong season. And he installed stuff otherwise. And so the shoulder season, I made a suggestion, why don't you install backyard ice rinks?
Ooh.
And it turns out it's an annuity business. Because you install it in the fall and you deinstall it in the spring and you fall. So that really evened out a bunch of his cash crunch. And gave him a new revenue source. Yeah. So it's that kind of thought process that I try and help people sort of build up a muscle in.
Because I know a lot of guys in the pressure washing industry, and they, of course, when they live up north in the winter, it's
right.
So they do.
Well, and actually, right now, I happen to be in Massachusetts, and we're under a severe drought, which we haven't been for years. I just had a handyman over at my house the other day, and was going to have him work on my deck, and he said, you know what, I can't power wash it because we can't use any water.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's like, okay, just make the repairs and we'll deal with it next spring.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, we've had droughts in Florida where they've actually, this is kind of weird, they've fined homeowners for pressure washing, but they allowed professional pressure cleaning companies to pressure clean.
They did for a while,
Yeah.
and then once the drought went to what is
It is severe. Yeah.
their level 5, which is the
Yeah.
top of the line, it was like, nope, all bets are off. You
Yeah.
can't do anything.
Yeah, and I think they had that in California not too long ago too, where
Oh, I'm sure they probably still do.
yeah, so there's that gets crazy. But a lot of the guys, up north, they were doing plowing, and then in before, like when it started to get cold, a lot of them will fill in their businesses with lights, hanging lights, Christmas lights,
Sure,
and taking them
yep.
down. So that's then
It's another way to fill it in.
yeah. So there's
And
you just got to be open minded to
right, and you got to be creative. Another thing about plowing, for instance, is if you're doing commercial plowing or even not commercial, it doesn't matter whether it's commercial or residential. Get your customers to buy into a contract price, right? So that whether or not it snows, you get paid. So it's an insurance policy for the customer.
right.
Literally an insurance policy for the customer, and it's guaranteed cash for you.
Absolutely. I know. I'm doing a series on subscription-based service businesses, and just how to add a profit center to keep things going, even when it's slow.
Right. I mean, you got to manage. It's a little bit of a risk in the snow situation, but you got to manage the caps, right? So you find what the average snow is, and you add, either a percentage or a certain number of inches, and above that, the pricing kicks in again. Yeah. But
you do it for a minimum, and if it goes above that, then we'll take some more money from you.
Well, but it's well, I think back to my own situation. 2 years ago, we had a record snowfall, and so on the one hand, there was a ton of cash made. On the other hand, it could have been more,
right?
Because of the contracts. At the same time, it was really good, profitable business.
Yeah.
Well, last year there was no snow, like maybe one storm, and so that was guaranteed cash,
right?
And no expense against it, or
right. So
very minimal.
Right. So they made out like bandits last year, and this year they're going to go. The contracts are going to go. I'm not so sure. Last year I didn't do so well, or I.
Well, and that's where you have to come up with the data that says, okay, here's historically what's happened, and so over the last whatever, and particularly I can see residential customers saying, yeah, I'll take my chances.
Right, but not commercial.
Commercial customers really can't.
No.
I mean, they can, but it's kind of silly for them because it really is. It's an insurance policy.
Yeah, and you get to a point in commercial and you start calling people and say, "Oh man, I let my contract lapse," and that's like a big, I got a fish. we're gonna get him hook, line, and sinker, and we'll burn him this year and hope he goes back to his other guy next year. But that's what I'm thinking. But still, it happens, and it happens.
Yes, it does. Anyway,
my brain just so. What are one of the other things that I know? The ability to, be open-minded about your business. And what you can do and can't do. Do you help? Do you ever talk to your clients maybe about joint ventures with other companies?
Sometimes. Yeah. It really depends on what the business is, right? It's all individual to each. Yeah. To each business.
Yeah, because I know. Matter of fact, I was talking with a guy last night, and he goes, well, how do you help businesses? And I go, what do you mean, how do I help businesses? He goes, well, I said, there's no format.
Right.
I said, each business is individual. I said, each business has its own individual challenges. and each owner has its own personality that goes along with the business. So
Right.
how do you put together step 1, 2, 3, 4? I said it's almost impossible.
Well, there is. I mean, I actually go through I meet them where they are, right? So the point is, find out where they are, right? And so I put together this I call it Stop the Profit L.E.A.K.S formula.
Okay.
And it's really a system or a process by which I work with each of my clients, and so that's L.E.A.K.S, right? Because you got to be cute and have an acronym.
Absolutely.
Right. So the L is look at where you are, which is, where are we starting? Do you even have books that are current, much less accurate, right?
Yeah.
And do you understand how to read a P&L and a balance sheet and a cash flow statement, and do you even know why you need to care?
Yeah.
That you do know what they are,
yeah.
right? The E is examine your cost structure, right? So it's going through what are your gross margins, what is your overhead, where you can have companies, as you well know, you can have companies that if you look at a P&L in a macro sense, they look, well, this is going great,
yeah,
but they have 3 or 4 or 5 services, and it turns out one of them, or let's say 2 or 3 of them, are actually subsidizing a loser.
Yeah.
And so, do you know you have a loser? And if you know you have a loser, have you done it deliberately for whatever reason, whether it's a loss leader or
right.
or for some, but are you doing it consciously,
yeah.
or is it more that in fact you don't know what the heck's going on, right?
No,
so it's right. So it's examine your costs. The A is actually start making money. So
It's a novel idea.
It's a novel idea, right? Then it's all about break even, understanding what is break even, what are the levers, right? If you shift your gross margin,
right,
what does that potentially do? If you shift your overhead, what does that potentially do in terms of where you will start making money? And so either you can, have the same revenue level and be more profitable,
right.
or if you, kick up the volume, what that does.
Right.
The K is know how to find and fix profit leaks, which is kind of what we've been talking about,
right.
and looking at what, keeping your eyes and ears and brain open to looking at things.
So basically, what you're doing is you're transitioning the business owner into being a business owner, and not I'm going to just say an applicator or a technician or.
Right.
So then they have to start. I mean, because I know a lot of guys, in the contracting industry, they're great at what they do. I mean, they're great service people, they're great technicians,
sure.
They're great carpenters, and they went into business because they wanted to make more, but they never thought about that they were going to
own a business.
Well, either own a business, but they were still going to have a job. It had their name on it, and
right.
and so to back away from that is sometimes really, really hard for guys.
Yes, yeah, it's helping them see that they've got to understand the. I'm going to screw up this analogy, but I'll say it anyway. Understand the trees, but also see the whole forest, right?
Right.
So they've got to see both the strategic piece and the tactical piece, the weeds and whatever goes with weeds. And understand both, and not just, how to swing a hammer, but what is it, how does it all fit together?
Right. And I think that's great that, to have someone like yourself that can actually take them through and maybe put them on a stepladder so they can see over the weeds.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically
right.
what you're trying to do, is help them see, to get through the weeds, see what's beyond the weeds, and basically format a plan to get past those weeds.
Right.
And then just get into the brush, and then it gets a little bit smaller and smaller as you go on. But it's no matter what happens, you're always going to have problems. But that's why we have problems.
You're going to have challenges in how, and you can deal with them more and more easily the more you know.
Right.
And
more you're, like
the more you're open to dealing with them too.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. That's a critical piece to having a good client.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. I had somebody say to me once, well, if I do it, you tell me will it all work? And I'm going, are you kidding me? I says, nobody does everything. If you just take a piece of this and work on one piece. I remember sitting on a call with a guy one day with someone else. We were thinking about starting another podcast, and we were taking him through his business. And I'm going, after like 45 minutes, it just dawned on me. I said to the guy, I said, listen, we just gave you enough information to drown you.
Right.
So just take the two things that you like best, just the two things, and work on those. And then later on, once you do those two things, then go to something else. But, I mean, it's like, I know, because I've done it myself. I've been through, I went through a class one time. I paid like $1,500 to find out, a coaching class. And it was like, I got through that, and I was mentally exhausted because there was just so much stuff that I thought I knew that I didn't know, but it was just great information that I knew that I had to implement, but I knew I couldn't implement it all at once. So it's gonna be a process no matter what it is. And it's
exactly.
It's like losing weight. You didn't get fat overnight. You're not going to become profitable overnight.
Right. Exactly. It is a process, and that's where you that's where you can pick out the clients you want to work with and the clients that you don't. Because if they think it's going to be a quick fix, it's like it's not.
Yeah.
It's not, and you have to buy into the process.
Yeah,
right.
I have a new, because I'm older now, and I don't want to work as hard as I used to. I just want to make more money. So I think that's the American
reasonable.
dream, isn't it? Yeah,
exactly.
Sure.
Right.
So I can only say this to my friends. They'll say, "Well, will you do this?" I said, "No, that's a PETA job. I don't do PETA jobs anymore." And they go, "What?" I said, PETA, pain in the... Yeah. So, no, we don't do those. I said, unless I can, double the price. And I've done that on sometimes, and they go, oh, yeah, go ahead and do it. And I'm going, oh, gee, I really didn't want to do it. But, I'm at that point where...
that's when you got to triple the price.
Yeah.
And
that's when you, like I said, I doubled the price, and I says, I'm still too low.
Right. But
I know. So that's a new word for everybody, PETA. So if
right, it's not bread.
Yeah, it's not bread, right? That's cool.
Yep.
So we're gonna you have your book.
Yes.
That we can drive everyone to your website, and we're going to put all that. So give us your information.
Okay, so it's at www.ionyourbusiness.net/e. I think it's e-report. Whoops.
Well, that's okay. I'll
it's
put
either
the notes.
e-book or e-report.
Right.
But it's Eye on Your Business e-book.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to put all your information on the webpage when we post it, and it'll have your contact information, the link to your book, and how they can connect with you on Facebook and Twitter and all the other fun stuff. Twitter's the only one I don't. Well, I pay somebody to do it. I don't even want to know how to do that one.
Well, and that's probably a good use of your time, right?
It is.
That's like, I don't want to learn how to do Facebook ads.
Yeah. Well, I don't do that
zero
either.
interest in it.
Yeah, I don't do
well, but it's the same thing. That's right, right? And if it's and if your contractors are doing bookkeeping and they stink at it, there's a better use of their time.
There is, and actually, if anybody who hasn't heard this podcast before, go back through all the stuff because we have people that will take care of your back end, and we have people who will take care of your front end for you, so you can do exactly what you were meant to do, and that's sell and make more profit. So, in today's economy, the way that things are sprouting up to make people business for people easier for people to do, then golly, it's like, but don't stop banging your head on the wall.
Right. Right. Work smarter, not harder.
Right. I'm trying to do that.
I know. Me too.
It's like every time I turn around, I'm looking at, I'm reading something or doing this or learning this new thing, and I'm going, who would have thought it? I told my wife 2 years ago, so who would have thought it? At 60, I would have to become proficient in the computer to compete in business. I'm going, come on, I should remember just taking the notes. All those times I take notes.
Right, what happened to paper and pencil?
Yeah, I know. Then I'd lose a notebook, and then I'd be out of business. So at least it's all on my phone now. So it's
and then you lose the phone. It goes down the toilet, and then you got another issue.
Yeah. Hey, this has really been awesome. Interview. Hey, we got to have fun. There's
time is too
Life's
short. Too short. You
is.
Bet.
So listen, everybody, contact Ann at her website. We're going to put all the information there, and let her know how much that you appreciated the information that she gave you. Because listen, there's we do a lot about marketing, and we do a lot about sales on this podcast, but there's other ways to create profit or save profit than just those things. Those are just ancillary things, So I want to thank you for being with us and sharing.
I thank you very much for the opportunity.
And having fun.
It's been a blast. So, it's just been a lot of fun.
Well, that's awesome.
Thanks for joining us for another weekly episode of the Contractors Secret Weapon podcast with Dave Negri. We would love to hear your comments about this episode, so visit us online at www.contractorsecretweapon.com and let us hear your thoughts. If you are listening via iTunes, please leave us a positive review. The more positive reviews we receive, the more other contractors will benefit from this show. Thank you, and see you next time here on the Contractors Secret Weapon podcast.